Welcome to the Hampshire 1900 start for Workers and Resources Soviet Republic. We're picking up on the 7th of September 1909, which is a couple of months on from the end of the last part. And in this part, what we're going to be doing is fixing one or two problems and then seeing how well our new town here gets through its first winter. Now, the game's on pause for a reason, which I'll explain in a little while. But before that, as usual, a big thank you for your comments and feedback. You guys give me a lot to think about. I did get an interesting comment related to the Isle of Wight and the fact that I sent some poor unfortunate down here. I think who's still here. They're still working hard. There's two of them. Sat here. I suppose eventually they will disappear. And the comment said about the Newport Gulag, and it's quite interesting actually because near Newport is actually one of the UK's maximum security prisons. It used to be called HMP Parkhurst, but I think in the last 10 years or so it's been actually revamped and reintegrated. In fact, there used to be quite a lot of prisons actually on the Isle of Wight. I think there used to be 3. I don't know if there still are 3 here. And I suppose the theory was that if you put your prisons on an island like that, even if someone does manage to escape, considering that even today that the only way off is by ferry, it gives them more chance to recapture them. So there's a double regard. So maybe once we start to develop the Isle of Wight, maybe we will create a gulag here, because a little bit of a subtle hint, there is some very powerful industries, and of course now we know that we got a major oil industry down over here. So maybe there's a case for a little bit of a prison here, but a gulag or something like that. So that's something to kind of think about. The other thing also is the railways on the Isle of Wight. What we might try and do is recreate the railways on the Isle of Wight as well, and of course the tunnel. I think it's from Ryde to Gosport. So we may actually, in fact, I've got a feeling that long term we might actually have to have 2 tunnels, but that's all very much far in the future. Now the next thing, ignore the roads. I'll talk about those in a little while. The next thing I want to talk about is the fact that I'm actually playing this on the public test branch in Steam, and there's been an update which came out yesterday, which I think is the 24th of June 2025 if you're watching this in the future. The update is called 1.1.012, and it contains a number of bug fixes, but it also contains a couple of interesting things. But I want to emphasize what I'm just about to talk about now is only going to be available in the early start DLC. The first thing is that they've actually added these brick-built sewage pumps, and if you actually look at these actually cost more to build actually because they need boards and bricks. But I'm not sure, which seems a little bit unbalanced, because what they seem to have done is, oh no, it actually takes less steel. In some ways that's good then, because steel's the expensive one. So we got this here. The only other thing is it doesn't actually tell you what the actual the depth of the pumps, but I would guess, looking at them, if you zoom in right in close, you could probably guess it anyway. So it's not kind of a problem. Normally I just choose one at random anyway. The other thing also is there is a brick built sewage switch as well. Again, if you look at the switch, you can see this has got quite a bit of gravel, a little bit of steel. The steel's been reduced, but you've got a 1.5 tons of bricks and a tiny amount of boards. So I actually really like that. But more intriguingly is that on the actual release notes, there's a kind of a section that says that that there's a possibility that brick-built sewage pipes will come in the future. Now that does really intrigue me from the perspective of an early start. The only thing I will say is that the early Victorian sewers, which were built of brick, had a higher capacity than the modern sewage pipes. In fact, they're now in the process in London of recreating them using concrete. So so my main concern is if the Debs bring in the brick built sewage pipes, some reason they actually reduce them. In fact, what they should do is increase them, so make it to possibly 200 cubic meters per day, because the old Victorian brick sewers had a lot higher capacity, and that's the reason why in London, and I suppose this is also a tribute to Victorian engineering, that big parts of London still use those actual brick built sewers. So that really intrigues me, mainly from an immersion point of view. I think it'd be quite fun to actually build brick built sewer lines. Now, the other thing that really intrigued me also is the fact that there's been some additions to waste management. This is, if we come to waste management here, there is now an early start gravel recycling plant, and the difference between them is that the early one is actually a third of the size, so it takes less power. It also produces less pollution. I like the idea that you got the smaller buildings for the early start, because there's also, which is probably even more useful, is the fact that there is now a small incinerator. I don't know why I said it's brick built, because it's irrelevant, but you can see it's a lot smaller, a lot cheaper to build. Now, these two buildings, I think, will have a use along the full lifetime of a game, because one of the problems I encountered in my Grand Design series is that when you expand, say for example you're expanding out across the map, especially like when we come to the island, is dealing with the waste. So having a small capacity incinerator with lower pollution will be very, very useful especially if you expand onto an island or something like that, or you're creating a remote community. It means that you don't have to spend a lot of time and effort, like I was in the previous series, making rail connections to remove the waste. So what we're probably going to be doing going forward is that these will eventually be replaced by where has it gone? This. So we'll probably be putting something like this out over here, and I think it actually looks pretty cool as well, actually, because it looks like it's actually got a brick built stack on it. So we'll be definitely looking into those two buildings. As I say, the gravel recycling is not quite so important, but the way I look at it this way is one of the problems you get with, say, if you build a mines, that you can get a lot of construction waste coming out, and being able to knock in one of these as part of your mining complex probably be helpful in reducing the amount you've got to ship, even if it's only by a third. But at the same time, it means that you might be able to produce gravel, which you could actually get for a useful setup. Now I want to talk about why the game's on pause. If you come in here, you'll see that there is a gap here. Now what's actually happened here is that when I loaded this game in, I got the message saying that 2 mods were missing, and you get the option to say download them, but of course sometimes the mods just disappear, and that's what seems to have happened, because I see what I've lost here is an old cinema and an old school, so we got the kindergarten over here. And I did do a search. If I put in old, oops, not polled, old, and then if I do a filter by school, you see I've got something called an old school. What looks like what's actually happened is that these have either been updated or some form of duplicate has been added to the game. So what we could do is put this in. I mean, it's got 12, 12, 120. So we're going to drop you in there. And then what we've got is, if I come back to here and we flip this to cinema, we got, and this one's actually still got the original icon on it here, which is the old cinema. But this looks like it's been completely reworked. And it looks pretty cool, actually. I'm not complaining about the fact. I mean, this is one of the hazards that you will get. I actually quite like that old cinema, but the problem is we're not going to be able to fit it in there. So what I'm going to do is we're going to put the opera house in here, which is going to give us our culture. What I am going to do is remove these because we need these built ASAP. What it means is that through our first winter, we're going to need to we're going to knock that up to high priority. Where's my road crew? And we're going to get these guys working on it. I mean, there's no point being upset. I mean, especially when you do really earlier starts like I'm doing here, where, as some of you have been following the series will be aware that, how can you put it, 90% of what we're doing is mods. In fact, virtually everything on the map here is mods. There's very few in-game building, and it's the risk you take. The real pain when that happens is actually finding them. It took me quite a long time to actually find them. So what we're going to do is just going to get these pushing through, get these guys working hard on that. And while we're here, I'm just going to talk about what I did off camera. The reason I did it off camera is simply the fact that it took a long time, even with an upgraded bulldozer, because what we've now got is the steam bulldozer, which came available, and this has actually got a excavator speed and a bulldozer speed. Well, it's got an excavator speed of 7 and a bulldozer speed of 9, which is 3 times faster than what we've been using before. But it still took a long time to get out here. But what I've done is I've pushed the road out here because I was looking for the oil fields out here. So we got Bath. It's actually got Bath pump check out here. So we've got this out here. The other thing I've also done is if you follow the series, you'll be aware I was trying to do this a little while ago. I'll let you deliver, and then I'm gonna shut you down. I don't want you building that. You're too enthusiastic. And what I've done is I've recovered a lot of this ground here, but I left this for basically realism, because even today, even though most of the land around Portsmouth has been recovered, there's still a channel through between there. So I left that in, and this is going to be our link into Portsmouth. And what I did as well, I was thinking about the roads here and the fact that they could get a little bit busy. So what I've decided to do is put a roundabout in here, just so that as a precaution against the future. So that is what we got to do. How are you going, guys? Come on. Of course, these guys, obviously I must have a little bit of an unemployment problem here, but that's okay. We're going to just have to try and work around that, and over time. Over here we've got, as I say, the reason I wanted to start in September is to show you the farming. We've now got the harvest started. One thing I do want to check is that I've actually reset these to unload. Yep, that's good. So we've now got our harvest underway, and we've got our road coming down here. I am going to remove this road because I've got no idea why it's here. And we are going to push out this road down here, straight line, because what I want to do in this corner is set up some proper food and alcohol production, because while these are still producing alcohol and food, and I will keep them in the short term, but what we really need to do is work on the building our population up here. Actually, let me just check. Yeah, you're nearly finished. We're not doing any of this research. And let me just flip over to here. And here we are actually, what I'm doing here at the moment is researching pollution detector. because I want to keep an eye on the pollution, even though technically it shouldn't be, we shouldn't be doing it in 1910. Back in the early 1900s, pollution was, when you could because of course back in 1910, pollution was defined when you couldn't see your hand in front of your face in the middle of a fog. Not some sophisticated monitoring system, but we've now completed preventative medicine. Can't pronounce things today. I'm not exactly sure. I think virology medical enhances resistance to pollution. I'm actually going to go for vitamins because we are going to be pushing our luck a little bit pollution wise here. And what we're going to do now is I'm just going to let the game run. The format of this video is going to be similar to the one in the previous part, where we're going to have a little bit of a session here, let the game play on, and I'll come back when big interesting events can kind of take place. Now we've got this road here which we've built through, so what I'm going to do is start with a how can we do this? I think I'd like a cargo station that way. I think maybe if we build in this way, because I want to expand the town down this direction. But we're also going to need to bring food into this area, rather than, so the food and alcohol export is lower priority than actually supplying the stores. I don't know what's got the lowest pollution. Let's go to workshop, get rid of you, battery. Right, the rural bakery is 1.2. So if now these come in left-handed and right-handed kind of connections. Let me just see. Say for example, I put the bakery. No, I want the warehouse. I don't. Do I want to put the warehouse out here? Trying to think. Now, if we put the bakery, I'm torn between exports and no. What I'm going to do is we're going to feed the population first. Okay, so we're going to do the population first. Plus, we can move the pollution source away a little bit. So what we're going to do is we're going to go with a cargo station. That's a bit big. We're not really going to need 6. I think we're going to put a 4 in there. Actually, no, we're going to put a 4 in like that. That's going to be the cargo station. Next thing we're going to need is storage. I think we'll use the Tudor warehouse again. Quite like the Tudor warehouse. And we'll put the Tudor warehouse out about like that. Or should I put it that way round? I think we'll put the Tudor warehouse like that. And then we'll have the... This is going to be the closest, so what we'll do is right hand this time. We're going to put the rural bakery there. Is there anything better than a bake? We've got a bakehouse here which produces 1.6. This produces 8 ton. No, we're going to go with the right hand rural. Can't pronounce words today. I don't know what's up with me. And we're going to get rid of you. And we're just going to put a little mud road there. So we got the rural bakery there. And what we'll do is going to put in We've got a rural brewery. I think we'll put the brewery out like that. We've got a footpath connection there, so that would be good. Actually, no, I'm gonna. No, I think we'll put you there first to get go with a really short kind of factory connection. So what we got is the bakery and the rural brewery. We've got the pickup point there for that. And what we're going to need to do now, eventually we'll have a farm out here. So what we need is some form of storage. I don't really want to build one of these things. They're expensive to build and they don't fit. I think I'd rather go for a big warehouse. What's the biggest warehouse we've got? 800. Wow, that's big. Put it that way round. If I do it that way, something like that. Yeah, I think if we build you like that, something like that, but remove you, we don't need that built. And what that means, we can bring in crops. We've also got a potential rail line there as well. So if and we'll probably, but to get this going from the beginning, we're going to need to import crops. So let me just get here back to cargo station. I think we'll put you about there. Again, we'll just keep that short. Remove the road connection. Put this in as and I think this one's going to need to be gravel, so we'll run you up. Question is, I think from a road connection point of view, we'll do it like that and then just snip you away like that. So what that means is we've got our pickup point here, but this doesn't have a connection to that, does it? Ah, that's rubbish. It doesn't work. Okay, let's just remove you. This is not work. Stop it, game. I've messed up here, but we can do that though. Yeah, that got away with it. So what we got is the bakery, which can come into here. We got a direct pickup. Probably don't need this, because this is the cargo station. I think there is a case that we can argue for picking up directly, so we got maximum efficiency. No, we're gonna remove that. We've wasted a little bit of gravel, but yes. Yeah, I think that will work. The question we've got to do now is work on the logistics. This is way too far away from here, but in a way that's not such a bad thing, because I want to build the town down this way, and as I say, over here we will build a farm. So we've now got this up and running, and we've got some bits and pieces there. We could probably improve the route here using asphalt footpaths to get the walking distance. I mean, it's going to take a little while to get this operational. In fact, it'll probably take a couple of years, because I'm not going to push it too hard. This is now closed for bad weather. Let me just see if we've got an unemployment problem. Yeah, we've got a small unemployment problem at the moment, but that's to be unexpected because this is now operational. We've got to try and hang on to as much money as possible. Right, so we've kind of got this area built in. We can sort out the fields later on. We're just going to come over here because this is the area where I'm going to need to really focus. How are you doing, guys? Because of course we're going to be getting complaints about children are unable to go to school, no culture. So this could give us problems. We've built the. I'm just going to knock you out of here for the moment. I'm just thinking, have I got a spare distribution office at the moment? You're being used. Your stock shop supplies, your repair supplies. But you don't really need that much. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to use you to supply crops to here. 50%. Yeah, I think. What is the storage here? Okay, this right. We're gonna have to push you right up to. Actually, no, you don't need to supply crops to. Yes, you do, because that's the linen factory. Okay, right. To try and make a little bit of money, what we're going to do is set this to 80%. Bring the crops into here, and we will, once we've got some workers in here. Oh, you annoying game. Limit 100% wood. That was a mistake. Not doing very well today. What I think that the way we can fix that is give me this by a open hole, cheap one capacity, but I don't want to spend a lot of money on this. That's 5,000. Right, we're just going to buy a cheapo and bring you in here. And what we'll do is we'll just sell all this stuff here. We got 74 tons, and then we can use the open hole for something else later on. And we'll just use it to sell a bit and make some money. Yeah, this is coming together quite nicely. I think we're going to fix that. I think we're going to need that cinema built a lot quicker than I thought I would. So we're going to get you on there. And there. And we'll get you. You've got nothing else to do, so you can get that going. Okay. So we are now kind of up and running and working. Yeah, all we need now is workforce in here. So because we got a tiny amount of unemployment here, we might be able to push this through fairly quickly. Get the school built. Okay, we've finished this. Research. I think we're gonna. What I want to do here is I want to go for steel materials fatigue, because what I would like to do is get down to steel cables, which would then unlock the cableways. I mean, we got. Yeah, I think we can do that. So we're going to go for. Yeah, we're going to go that way. We don't need the steel mill just at the moment, so there's no point worrying about that. Okay, let me just. You go to there, pick up boards, and just sell them to the border. And what we'll do is we'll set you to wait until loaded. That means I know where to find you. Got a broken vehicle. Oh yeah, we got scrap. We can get some workforce into here, so we can scrap what we've got. Our scrap stuff here. Yeah, I forgot we're in winter now, so we got that here. what I am going to do now, well, we're going to build the battery connections first because they can always be a bit problematic. This one is too short for vehicles, so we might as well get the maintenance crew on that one there. You can see here we're now in maintenance mode, so we are now having to maintain our buildings. And just to show you that, tire map, show wear and tear, you can see we've got, this is the dock that collapsed. You can see that the waste is still hanging around there, but we don't care about that. So all the ones not showing no power supply are buildings which are kind of scattered around the map. So at the moment we are repairing Eastleigh Corner Market 32%. The reason for that is I am repairing early than normal. The reason for that is that I want to keep the actual quality of the flats good. You can see here they're already down to 74% due to wear and tear, so we're going to keep that going. Let me just see, I'm kind of half running out of things to say at the moment. We're actually going quite well at the moment. Right, what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to cut the video here and let the game play on, and I'll be back when we approach December, just so I can show you the result of the harvest. Okay, welcome back. We are on the 13th of November 1909, and this is our new school. It looks a bit odd, but we are going to, what's the average loyalty at the moment? 36%, so I'm going to slip you in there. Now we may have, we should still be in range of the garbage here, which is good. Yep. Actually, come to think of it, garbage, historic hospital. Where are you? Where's the historic hospital? There it is. Are you in range of a waste pickup point? Yes, you are. Did I set this to, got no hazardous? Yeah, we've got hazardous waste. That's good. So we've now got that here. Now, what I'm thinking about is that we are going to need to expand in this direction because we've got steel works and all that out here. And I'm thinking that we may need to build some more accommodation here. And I'm starting to consider the fact that we may actually need to have a bus pickup point in this area. I did consider over here because we could expand the town this way, but the store is here, so I think we might be able to put some more accommodation in here. So I think for our first bus station in this area, I think we're going to use this one here. Now this is a one-way type bus station. So we're going to put you about there and then run the gravel road like that. It's about there. And what we can do then is use this as our workers pickup for our building. The other thing I want to do now is work on, we've got crops in here, so I want to put a few workers into here so that we can start picking up the fabric. We can export fabric, but of course what we're going to need to do here is keep an eye on the date because we want to check our farming. Tudor warehouse, I think we're kind of curve you around here a little bit, something like that. Actually, if I can put you about there, squish you in a bit. Cargo station, you can kind of squeeze you in again, really tight, as tight as we can get it. And then so we got the So we got the linen warehouse, we got the Tudor warehouse, and then of course what we're going to need here, go back to factory, and we will need the Tudor clothes factory on the end. We'll just curve you round to get you onto the power grid like that, and then that means we can you oops, don't like that. And you can oops and we'll build that in there like that, and this will be our clothes production, which we can use, slowly emptying out that there. Right, so let's just get back over here. We're on the 25th of November, and just to show you, if we go to crops, crop overlay, so we haven't got any surplus left in the fields, so we've harvested through the fields. We've still got quite a lot in here to pick up, and what we've got is nearly full silos. Right, so what I'm going to do now is, well, we'll just click on these fields, and just to show you the, so we got this field, this 4 fields which we're going to look at. See, this has got a fertility of 85, this has got a fertility of 94, 86%. Right, let's just put on the fertility filter. I know you can't see the print because I can barely see it, in the sense that this is 13%, so there's no point trying to harvest you. You are 15%, it's no good. That's 78%, that's 94%, 38%. And what have we got down here? This is 16%, so that's no good. 85% and 80%. So what we got to do now is bring that one online. You're 94%, you're 94%, you're 86%. You're 12%, so you can come out. And what have we got here? And strangely, our big fields are still actually holding up. Right, we've now researched cables. We're just going to let the game run. What we can do now is, it's steel cables, isn't it? Let me just check. Yeah, we want to come down here and we want to research steel cables. That should unlock cableways, which was something we will be using. This is nearly there. So I don't think we've done that much damage. It's just that we've probably got a lot more looking for an education than what I thought we would. But we will get ahead of the curve eventually. Oops, that's way too high. I don't think we've got many people in here with a loyalty of 40%. This school's a little bit smaller than the one we built here originally, so we might need to build a second school as the town expands. Now, one thing one thing we will be focusing on going forward is building these populations up, because I can't keep building with foreign workers. So we need to build our population up. What we may have to do while we're building out these areas is go seasonal. We're going to have to now flip these guys to finish off these battery connections. That probably needs to be built as well. We're going to do the factory connections, get these built, and then the next step would be to start building in the roads here. And then what we're going to do is, we're not going to rush build all of this. What we're going to do is ramp this up slowly so it works in conjunction with this area here. How's the economy going? How much money are we losing? We're making, right, how much did we make? Yeah, we actually made a small profit last month, and this is going to be a factor, and I apologize in advance that this is going to be a potential problem. Talking we still got 150 fertility on these big fields. I don't really want, I want to stay with the small field system just for the moment. Yeah, so that worked. What we need to do now is flip these guys to load, and remove that. And what they will do is keep this area going. Right, back to what I was saying is, we're going to get into a fairly slow grind now. So there's going to be no more epic builds at the moment, because when you start, especially when you start in 1900, I've got to remember that there's now an early start mod that says 1930. You get to a point where you've got to kind of work on building your population up. And it's very tempting to say, yeah, we'll just bring in lots and lots of workers, but what you've got to do is just let your population grow at a fairly even pace, so that you don't outpace your money and start, because the next focus now is towards actually making an income, which is the reason for this. This is going to be our main income, and then eventually we'll be tearing this down, but we'll keep this over here because this is effectively free food for during the summer. And as our population grows, we'll build in these as well, because what this will mean is that we'll have basically an output through the summer of 2 tons of food per day. It is per work day, yeah. So that has got quite a lot of potential food, which will work with this. And maybe we'll take this out once we've got a farm down here to supply the crops to this area. So the focus is going to be very much going forward with respect to how can you put it, getting a lot more self-sufficient. These guys are researching vitamins, which is good. Little bit worried about this thing here. In fact, I think, can I build pollution monitors? So I can. And what we're going to do is, I want to sneak in, I want to keep that space open if possible. We're going to put a pollution monitor in there. As I say, I know it's a bit out of purpose, but I want to make sure that the pollution that will build up in this area, see how far it's spreading, because what we may have to do is kind of build the town across at an angle here, but at the same time we want walking distance. So that is something that we've got to look at. Let's get back over to Warstok. Okay, we've now got the cinema operating. You should be in range of there. So we've now got problems fixed. The population should get control of this area. And what I'm going to do now is, do we have any unemployed in this area? No, we've got no unemployed. We've got, right, this guy, you should probably, okay, so this will now work on here, which means that gives us the free, not that we're going to need that much anyway, because the fabric consumption here is going to be very, very small. One advantage is the fact that we won't be, the repair vehicles in this area won't cost us that much. is do a vehicle check. I'm at wear and tear. So we got a few vehicles which are over 50%, but it's not the end of the world. What's the storage in here? 7 tons. Can we? Well, we got shop supplies here. These guys are not exactly going to be working overtime, so we come here, load. If it's over, go for say 60%, and you can unload. So we're just going to sell off the surplus. See if we can make a little bit of money that way. I mean, we can do a quick check. This requires 10 tons of crops and can turn into 2 tons of fabric. So we look at the price range here. This is a calculation you need to do. 10 tons of crops will cost us 120 rubles. The fabric, 2 tons of, there's a nice price return ratio on the fabric, because you can see here that, sorry about flipping off so quickly, you can see we can sell fabric at 232 rubles a ton. So that means that 10 tons of crops will turn into 2 times the price of the fabric, which will turn into 464 rubles at the sale price. So that actually gives us a return. Of course, the other cost that we've got to bear in mind at the moment is the fact that we are going to have to pay for the crops also to deliver the goods, but that is relatively kind of inconsequential. So we do need this built. Really do need to kind of work on the actual population here. I want that bus stop built because, again, I would really like to have the work option to kind of provide my own workforce. So just gonna come here. As I say, I'm going to be kind of curtailing what we're going to be building, because we do want to make a profit. That 5,000. Anyway, guys, I'm starting to ramble again here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to cut the video here, because basically we're just wading through the winter here, which is not exactly that much in the way of fun. Welcome back. We are now on the 25th of February 1910. We've come through another winter without any major incidents. We did have one small instance in the fact that I forgot that I'd not been set the steel imports to be picked up, so that caused a little bit of a problem. It means I can now the steel's been delivered, I can put you back onto there, and we can put the steel and the bricks onto there. Just want to check something. So we haven't made the progress with the construction down here as I was hoping for, so which means that this needs to wait for a delivery of steel. One problem we've already got, which is the perennial problem in the fact that the kindergarten here is filling up. So I've planned another kindergarten down here to kind of deal with the expansion in this direction. I think it's the weather's still too cold for farms there. Over here, things are just kind of trudging along fairly slowly. We are kind of working on this area. We've built this road in here, and at the moment what I'm trying to do is, well, it's actually finished actually. Okay, so secret police, I'm gonna get here. I don't want 45%, I got a bit carried away there. I think we'll do there. We don't need that many secret police. We're going to drop you right down, and of course we're going to have to buy some, see what we've got in the way of police cars. We're going to get really dirt cheap here. We're going to get 1, 2, 3 male riders. We've got, I think I did build a what we call it, or was I only planning to build a crop feeding station here? We may need to do that. So we're now going to get the secret police out and running. Although, to be honest, the secret police themselves can find the necessary feeding stations. I'm a bit worried about the fact that I don't have a feeding station over here. Maybe I need to put one in. We're still working on the bus stop here. They've got a feeding station here. I'm absolutely certain I put a feeding station in, but obviously not. Oh, great. Where can I put a feeding station? I don't really want to. Oh, there it is. Yeah, I knew I'd put one in, because I knew that I'd have. And we are currently working on the police station, which is what we're going to need as well. So beyond that, things are settled down over here. As I say, we just need a bit of kind of get our crime under control. If I come back here and just show you here, oops, not that. We're getting a kind of cycles of crime, but we're staying on top of it at the moment. You can see there, our courthouse isn't exceptionally busy, and we haven't overloaded our prison yet as well. One interesting thing I did look at is if you run through here, I know I'm aware you can't see it, but all these prisoners here don't seem to have, you've got some with 8% crime there, 14% crime there. So we're at there's probably a possible case here to reduce the actual sentence a little bit, but I want to see how that actually goes, because you can see here that a lot of these have very low loyalty, which is a pain in the neck, because they're actually dragging down my loyalty. Okay, we've now kind of getting it. It says building without water. I think what we'll do is, where is the water supply? This is at reduced capacity at the moment. We've got a water supply to there. Yeah, part of me feels that, well, but the trouble is if I introduce water to here, we're going to have to also introduce sanitation as well. Wondering if maybe this is an opportunity to actually put in some of our new brick. I don't think we actually got a brick substation. Kind of wondering if I put that, I put we got a substation there which covers that, so we don't. So I'm wondering if I put I can get substation. We're gonna have to kind of bring it out this way a bit. So I want to cover that because we want really good efficiency with respect to. Okay, we're going to put you about there. Of course, we can't build a brick sewer. Actually, I'm going to put you into there. We're going to put a scruffy And then what we'll do is we'll put a water substation. I'm using my usual technique of matching 1 for 1. I think if we put you in about there, and then what this will do is give us the coverage for when we expand. Okay, we've got the water supply there, which we could run the water from there and hook you up to there. I mean, because we only got water to there, to there, to there. Yeah, I think that will work. So, I mean, we don't have to rush this, but it'd be nice to have it in place so that we can drive our expansion this way. Probably what we will do is, oops. I think I will get the ground crew started on that. And that for the moment. I say it's not urgent. Right, we've now started the harvest here, which is good. Hopefully our fields will recover. Ideally, I would like to get the oh yep, it's finished. Good. Okay, we're just going to reduce you down to half strength, and of course we're going to need some mounted patrols again. We're going to go for the cheapest. We're 1, 2, 3, 4. We're not going to use vehicles at the moment. We'll say we're going to stick with the horses. This is approaching completion, and in the next part we'll start thinking, well, getting a bit more focus out this way. Why aren't we delivering asphalt to there? What are these guys doing? They've gone on strike again. No, they seem to think that they've delivered something here. So there must be vehicles on the way. Let me just see. Maybe steam hauler. Yep. Just got to curb my impatience. I think we can put these guys on. That one there. And just get that finished, because it's too short for a vehicle. Eventually now this is finished, so I think what we'll do is we'll just put that way, and these guys can finish that. We'll build this circle, and then we'll build this road in here somehow, and then that will kind of improve the transportation along this direction. Eventually we will push out this way, but that's not a priority at the moment. So I think we're looking pretty good here. One thing I do want to check is here. Yeah, we're still getting a very... How many workers did you pick up? 1. Great. Because what I'm trying to do now is get away from foreign workforce, but which is another reason why we're going to have to kind of build slowly, because one of our major expenses, which we've got to get control of now, is using foreign manpower, because that's draining our income. Looks like we've spent a bit of money here. Good old steel imports, yeah. So it's the steel imports that are kind of crippling us at the moment. Construction industry is going to be something else we're going to need to think of a little while. I wouldn't mind getting a very low level construction industry going. We've got the potential out here. We could build a potential construction industry here. It's a bit far out though. I mean, ideally I would like to go this way and possibly expand the... We need workforce. This is what we're going to need. Do we have any unemployment here again? Let me just take a quick look. I'm aware that I'm running out of time on this video, so no, we got no unemployment. Do we have any free flats? Because again, we don't want over 21s. No, 0, 0, 0, 0. We got... So we've only got this building here, and that's only got a little bit of slack on it. So we're going to have to open up one of you now to keep building the accommodation. So we're going to have to get there. Are you guys making progress? Yeah, we got workers in there. Because of course, again, any spare workers wandering around this area will go to these construction sites at the moment based on this criteria here. It says max 10 each one. So yeah, so we are getting more workforce in here. In fact, just to finish off, take a look at the population stats. Yeah, we are growing slowly. I think when just check our tech, that's nearly finished. Let's go over and check our other tech over here, because of course I'm not... This is nearly finished as well. University, where are you? Okay, we finished research here. I think what I'm going to do now, we got Soviet functionalism. What is Soviet functionalism? What does that open up? Explores the principles of functionalist architecture and designs, focusing on simplicity, utility, and efficiency. Doesn't really tell me a lot, does it? I think I really need to go through and see what the benefits of unlocking that at this point are. I think at the moment my instinct is to go out this way so that we can start considering manufacturing our own vehicles. So we need to get to this point. I think that's probably going to be the more useful priority. Although pollution, well, we'll go for advanced engineering to start with. And then what we will do is just check the jolly old pollution meter. Yeah, we got no pollution at the moment, which is good. We've got nice coverage, so I can see the effects of this once we get it up and running. So I think this is where I'm going to leave it. Hope you enjoyed the episode. Hope you found it interesting. And until next time, whatever you do, enjoy your gaming.